A very good morning and a warm welcome to everyone. And thank you once again to join for today's session. Today is August 10th, the birth anniversary of one who is popularly known as father of modern Indian astronomy, Shri M.K. Vainu Bappu. Shri Vainu Bappu did his initial stellar work in Hyderabad city in the late 1940s and 50s. Vainu Bappu made a significant observation from the Nizamiya Observatory in Hyderabad. On 2nd July 1949, when Bapu was clicking pictures of the night sky, he spotted a bright moving object which he had rightly understood to be a comet. The International Astronomical Union official named the comet as the Bapu Bok Nukrik Comet C1949N1. This is the only comet with an Indian name. During the session today, we will try to cover all the related information in making people understand the great visionary and his work. To share more knowledge on this, we have with us Shri Tanmay Vyas with us. Mr. Tanmay Vyas is an avid astronomer and a science communicator. Mr. Vyas has been passionately teaching astronomy since 1986 to the various age groups. He has given numerous TV shows, radio shows, and helped thousands of people, enthusiasts, to admire the beauty of universe through telescope. He is also a passionate observational astronomer who is popularizing space science to the common public with the active group called Tanmay's Amazing Space. You can definitely gonna check the Instagram and YouTube handle for all the regular updates related to space science. Here, I also like to mention that planetarium is little privileged to work under the guidance of such dignitaries because, as you know, that planetarium is very well known for Dr. N. Ratnashri guidance. And before Dr. N. Ratnashri, we have our former director called Dr. Nirupama Raghavan. Dr. Vainu Bappu was his PhD guide. So we kind of have a legacy working under such visionaries. So the day is dedicated to Vainu Bappu, and today we are here to know more about him. So, Tanmay sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me such an opportunity to present in the memory of Venu Bapuji. Now I tell you that so many different people from Indian origin have actually given so much to astronomy and space science, but probably due to less of the focus on Indian astronomers, means we are media couldn't cover much of his work. It is really a very sad part that so many people are missing, the actual kohinoors of astronomy. So really, I'm very thankful that on his birth anniversary, we are trying to enlighten his life and his work in astronomy. He is very less known in mass, but definitely it is very well known in a class. Matlab, those who are into astronomy, astrophysics, they know him very well because his work is speaking aloud in astronomical fraternity. But we would like to, present in some little more detail about his journey in astronomy and space science. So let me start my presentation. And at the end of the presentation, I can try to answer because again, when Prerna ji asked me to present that of Venu Bapuji, I searched a lot on his, biography and all these things, but very less is available even on internet. But still, I'll try my best. So let me share my screen and. Well, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Fine. So, first of all, once again, his full name is Manali Kallat Vainu Bappu. He is basically a kind of a person in our modern astronomy. But it is always interesting that Indian astronomy is way beyond our reach. Like we might be, thinking about people like Einstein and Newton and Stephen Hawking and all such eminent astrophysicists and cosmologists throughout the world. But Indian astronomy is even deeper than what we can think about. Different sages, Rishi Muni, they always gave us correctness of the astronomical phenomenon that are taking across the celestial sphere, be it the position of the sun, be it position of the moon, or the celestial movement of planets in different zodiac signs, how many zodiac signs, how they are moving around, and all these things are kind of a dharohar. It is a kind of a privilege to have our birth in India. So many different concept, like a month on the base of moon, that is something is given by our sages, and so many things. But we really recognize a very few faces like Aryabhat, again, that he's been given a name to our first satellite, Indian first satellite that was launched in 1975, is again named after Aryabhatta. Bhaskara too is also someone who has dedicated his life for Indian astronomy and all. If you know the name of this person, there are different Jantar Mantar in our Indian subcontinent, where huge type of structures that are created to show absolute movement of the sun, moon, timing in seconds. Also, in seconds also, this can be determined through the shadow that is falling onto different curvatures, ram yantra and whatnot. And these are the a kind of a different yantras that are there. So astronomy is not only a newly science that has emerged in the India. It has been since ages. Do you know this person? He is a kind of a person who is so many persons ideal, right? uh, he is S. Chandrasekhar. At the age of 19 only, he gave Chandrasekhar limit. So he is very famous. In 1983, he received a Nobel Prize for his such discovery. Uh, Very few might be knowing Jayant Nalikar sir, who is also astrophysicist, cosmologist. You might be, have heard about Professor Govind Swarup, who is a kind of a father of Indian radio astronomy. And these are the faces which are right now, a kind of people who are the young generation is looking forward to. These faces reached up there in this space. They went up there, starting from Rakesh Sharma. All these faces have reached a level, and a new level is upcoming through Mr. Manan, who is going to be a person on the moon in upcoming Artemis by NASA. But let us understand someone who is very less known on his birthday today. We would like to enlighten the subject which is surrounding his life. So let us understand that he took birth in Chennai. That time it was known as a Madras. So he took birth in 1927. Now 1927 is a kind of a year where just 3 years before his birth, Edwin Hubble discovered that the universe is not confined to our own galaxy, but there are other galaxies, other islands where there are more than 100 billion stars out there. So he took his birth in the era where the astronomy, modern astronomy, was just, going beyond our galaxy. His father was also an astronomer in Nizamiya Observatory, Hyderabad. So, a kind of a background was ready for him to work in the same field of astronomy and space science. He did his BSc Physics in Madras University. As I said, that Chennai was once known as a Madras, so he was a scholar of Madras University. And then he is a Harvard graduate in astronomy. He did his PhD from Harvard. Now, going ahead in his journey, As Prerna rightly said, that he is a kind of a person who discovered something that no one else could do in his time, and very few till now awarded Donhe Comet Medal for Astronomical Society in 1949. Vice President of IAU. Now, what is International Astronomical Union? International Astronomical Union is a kind of such a prestigious institute where everyone look forward to be part of, and he was a vice president for so long, and ultimately he became president of IAU. So these are the achievements which very few could do so far as the presidential position is concerned. This is only given to those people who have actually given their life for the work in astronomy. Basically, his life started very well with the observatory of Hyderabad, and he, at the very young age of 20, you see that he worked with variable stars. Now, you might not be noticing even that the variable star written here just got dimmed and it brightened up. You can see two different plates here. Now, this paper was published in the year 1946-47, so it was taken on a plate. On the left plate there is a bright star looking thing, and in the right same position it is a dim one. So a variable star study was his fascinating subject, and he worked so much on variable stars, and he published a paper on it. This is the person who could understand his dedication for astronomy and space science, Harlow Shapley. He actually, granted Bapu his admission in Harvard Graduate School of Massachusetts. So he could see that this person has more potential of discovering something, and he was even given a scholarship. So this is also very few person who could achieve scholarship for such a position. Bapu started working on photography from Wilson Observatory. Now, Wilson Observatory then was the observatory where many of the astronomers wished to, work upon, because it is a prestigious one. It had a photographic plates that was, giving very good photographic images of different objects in this space. Now he was given a task. Understand this, this is very I'm talking when he was very young, right? He was just 23 when what we are talking about is that he started taking pictures of a specific area in the space. Now you see that the 360-degree area where only a small degree which is covered, where only the solar system objects are visible. In that, again, when you look through a telescope, very small fraction of the space is visible, very small. Let me just explain a little in this. If you look at the sun covers only half a degree. You can imagine this, only half a degree. If you recall the protractor where there is 90-degree here and 0 to 180-degree here. So suppose if I just show you 1 degree, just half of that is a area that is covered by sun. And when you look at this space through the telescope, you are looking at even hundredth portion of that sun. So you can imagine, now in 2 months he could capture 60 exposures. See, this is very interesting one, that in 2 months he took 60 exposures. And against this, what happened next? How Indian government officials reacted. Now, what is to do this with Indian government? See, he is working somewhere in a foreign land on a scholarship that was granted, and he was presenting India out there. And so while he was capturing such images, Indian government reacted differently. How differently, that I'll tell you after just a few slides. And out of these 60 exposures, as Prerna rightly said, that he discovered a comet. Now, this is so prestigious thing. out of so many different objects in this space, you have to look for something which is moving very slowly, sometimes just fraction of arc seconds. What is an arc second? If I said that there is a 1 degree, if you divide that into 60 part, that is 1 arc minute. So there are 60 arc minute in a degree, but 1 arc minute is also further been divided into 60 part, that is 1 arc second. So in 1 degree there are 3600 arc seconds. So you can imagine. Okay, now these comets, when you are looking back in that time when it was to compare on physical plates, you have to see every star, every star, every star, every star. Oh, there is a movement. So in next slide, in next plate, you have to check again whether the movement is continuous. So in that way, he discovered the first comet in his basket, and that comet was given number C oblique 1949 N1 Bappu Bok Never. Now, what is this number? C is always standing for comet. So whenever there is a comet to be numbered, it is called C oblique 1949 is the year in which he discovered this comet. And what is N1? It is not new one, it is N1. Now, whenever there is any discovery, the discovery is divided into different alphabets. Suppose if it is been discovered in the month of January, then it is called A. But that is only up to 15th of January. From 16th January to 31st January, it is called B. So then February is CD, like that. When you reach N, it is kind of a July, where it is the first object in the month of July that they discovered. And on this ground itself, he started writing a biography of comet discovery. So he was very much interested in looking for different comets, because you can imagine, when you are just very young and you discover something that no Indian previously could discover. So it was a kind of a privilege where he was excited to present who other people who discovered comets. So he wrote a book on international biography on comet discoveries. But this comet ultimately was discovered in a specific constellation called Cygnus. Now this is a long period comet, so this is again a kind of a challenge, that this comet is not going to reappear for another 60,000 years. So it's a kind of a very good achievement. If it is a short period comet, that means less than 200 years after which it comes back, it is called short period. This call is long period. These long period comets are just once in a lifetime, so he achieved something very good. And you can imagine that somehow while he was clicking picture, it's perihelion, means very nearby to the sun, so that he could see the tail of it. Otherwise, there are two words which is called aphelion, which means away from the sun, perihelion, that is near the sun, at the distance of 2.05 AU. Now, what is AU? AU is astronomical unit. What is astronomical unit? Astronomical unit is a mean distance from sun to earth. So if sun to earth is 1 AU, it was approximately 2 AU away, right? So you can imagine, what are the technical aspect. Whenever you try to see any science presentation, you must understand every aspect what is written out there. So aphelion is also written that the distance is 3000 AU. So you can imagine that it is 2 AU to 3000 AU. So it is elongated orbit where the time taken is very very long, 60,000 years. And you might be also recalling that there was a comet called Yakutake, which was visible very beautifully in the year 1996, where the tail of that comet was visible for nearly 100 degree. So you can imagine, the sun is half degree, I'm talking about the 100 degree. So such huge comets can come and go. It had a 76,000 years aphelion, right? So the International Astronomical Union gave its official name, and for this they actually gave the credit to them. And Vainu Bappu was awarded 250 bronze medal, of which this was given to recipient number 242 is our Vainu Bappu. How beautiful, discovering a comet, getting the recognition from the International Astronomical Union, and this is the copy of that particular thing, the medal that was awarded to Shri Vainu Bapuji. So you can see in one of the image where the comet is shown very typically. This is kind of a prestige, but oh, what is this red hot thing? This is Indian government. Oh, is this? Yes. From here, the official said, "Hello, what are you doing out there? We have sent you to do some research on something different, and you have turned towards comet. Stop that activity right now and focus on your work." So this is a kind of a thing that he had to hear, and so he had to refocus his work. Even after, you can imagine that even after getting the recognition in international fraternity, he was not given a good credit at that time by government. This is controversial, but ultimately, he started his PhD work in the August 1951. Again, you see everything is happening in the month of August, right? In the August 1951, he completed his PhD thesis in the record time, right? In the Carnegie Fellowship for a year. He was the first Indian to receive the prestigious fellowship in astronomy. So you can imagine what are the achievement that he had throughout his life. And because of such fellowship, he was given an access to Palomar 200-inch telescope. Now, then it was the largest of the telescope that was existing in the world, and he was given a challenge of stellar spectroscopy, right? So what is a stellar spectroscopy, that I'll just tell you in a minute. And during this period, he surveyed about the wolf red stars. Now, what is wolf red star? That also I'll tell you.
Caltech's Palomar
Let us see
Observatory
this
is located
Palomar
in the remote
Observatory.
wilderness of northeast San Diego County in Southern California. It is home to three major research telescopes.
So
60-inch
200 inch,
telescope,
60 inch, and
48
48 inch.
Samuel Ocean Telescope, and the 200-inch Hale Telescope, which for decades was the largest and most prominent optical telescope in the world. The observatory was conceived in the 1920s and developed
You
over the
can
next
see
two
that
decades
this is
by a team of
something so
engineers and
prestigious
scientists
that
led by
people would
American
love to
astronomer
work
George
here.
Ellery Hale, for whom the 200-inch telescope is named. Hale secured funding from the Rockefeller Foundation in 1928 to build the 200-inch telescope and observatory facilities. By the late 1940s, both the Hale and the Ocean telescopes were in
So
scientific
while
use
he
by
was
astronomers
working
from
upon
Southern
it,
California
this was the
and all
largest
over
one.
the
We will
world.
not go much
A
into the
research
Palomar. We go ahead with our journey where we see, oh my God, what has popped up? This is WR star. What is WR star? Wolf red type of stars. And these stars were studied by Bapu at Hale 200-inch telescope in Palomar Observatory, where the star surface temperature varies from 20,000 degrees centigrade to 120,000 degrees. So if I give you the comparison of our own sun, the sun's surface temperature is approximately 5,600 degrees centigrade, whereas this one is 20,000 to 120,000 degrees. And you can see some cloudy things that is out surrounding that star. That is a kind of a puff off, it breathes, boof boof, like that. It throws material out there. And to be very precise, this particular type of stars are not having much of a hydrogen. Instead of that, it has heavy element like hydrogen, carbon, and nitrogen are kind of the elements that were present. So his interest was more studying WR stars. And after Palomar's journey, he transferred back himself to India, but he returned in 1953 in Hyderabad and was without a job for almost a year. So you can imagine, astronomy is not so easy. after achieving PhD, after discovering the comet, and after getting the hands on 200-inch telescope, he was not given a chance to work anywhere for 1 whole year. So what could be the mentality of that particular genius, who had to simply sit and do very less work? And then during this period, Mr. Akbar Ali, that is director of Hyderabad Observatory, he asked him, okay, you now restart work on stellar spectra that you used to work in USA, right? So then he was, on his toes to work upon the stellar spectra. Actually, he also helped in getting the 48-inch telescope of Hyderabad Observatory, and he started working upon it, and he secured senior research fellow in 1954, right? So now what is a kind of work that he started from what, and he is ending at what, that we will try to see here. In November 1954, Bapu joined UP State Observatory. From Hyderabad, he shifted to Uttar Pradesh, where he wanted something very specific. He tried to see the space from Varanasi. Now, Varanasi had some pollution, like light pollution and air pollution. So he wanted to shift it to some elsewhere, and in that case, he selected a suitable site near Nainital on a Manora peak. And in this particular process, D.D. Pant, Professor D.D. Pant, a spectroscopist. Now, what is a spectroscopist? That I'll tell you. Who was teaching that, he also helped him in establishing this particular observatory. Now, let me tell you that the space is a kind of a bombarding kind of place in the universe, where there is a cosmic radiation, there is a solar radiation, everything comes and it penetrates, but very few type of electromagnetic waves can reach to the surface. You can see that the visible light can reach and the radio can be reached. So in this case, the kind of a spectrum that is visible up here is Vibgyor. You all know that from violet to red, the spectra of any star can be taken, and down here you can see the emission line. Now these are all technical thing, but he started working upon this, and in his journey, he really discovered something very typical, which is called the Wilson-Bappu effect from WR star. Now what is WR star? Wolf Red star. What he tried to see that Olin Wilson and Bappu reported that the measured width of, I know this is a little technical, I'll explain you, the measured width of the K emission line and the absolute visual magnitude of the star are in some relationship. Now what is that? The oval down here is shown the width of one particular peak, that is K line. Now what is K line? It is a kind of a K line which shows the presence of one particular element in that star. From the width, they can measure that what is the brightness or the luminosity, the absolute luminosity of that star, and from that, without doing anything, simple mathematics, and you come to know how far that star is. Wow, what a brilliant thing! With the width of a K line, if the K line is more, the absolute magnitude is different. If the K line is narrow, the absolute magnitude is different. How beautiful! With this, simply the apparent magnitude and absolute magnitude correlation can tell you, okay, that star is 400 light years away, that star is 5 light years away, that star is 1,000 light years away, like that. It's a beautiful thing that helped us measuring the different stellar distances. His journey continued. On 1st of April 1960, Bapu was handed over Kodaikanal Observatory, and he became the youngest director of 170 years old observatory. Now, some international recognition in his bag. He was elected a fellow of a Royal Observatory Society, London. Wow, 1951, and later an honorary associate of that society in 1978. So you can imagine, it is not been only in India, but even in foreign land, like this is England, where he was, given a chance. He attended General Assembly of all IAU from 1958 onwards. This is also a kind of honor. And he was elected vice president of AU, as I rightly said in the beginning, vice president, and then ultimately president of Astronomical Union. Now, I tell you, people may not shine so much in the media, but working so much that it actually gives more and more recognitions. Now, here you can see he was elected honorary foreign associate of a Belgian Academy of Science in 1969, honorary member of American Astronomical Society in 1982. He undertook this tour of Japan on invitation by the Japanese Society for Promotion of Science. Why somebody from foreign land would call a person who could be otherwise, not so great, but he was absolutely a kind of a Kohinoor so far as astronomy is concerned. He gave the best of his gift to Indian astronomy, that is, Indian Institute of Astrophysics. His view and his push gave the birth in 1971 to that of IIA. He assisted this Nainital Observatory in 1953. In 1960, he became the director of Kodaikanal Observatory. In 1986, Kavalur Powerful Telescope was given name of his Vainu Bappu Observatory. So this is a kind of achievement throughout the life. And what observatory did now, Vainu Bappu Observatory, they discovered something very pretty, very beautiful, like VBT, that is Vainu Bappu Telescope, discovered atmosphere around Jupiter's satellite Ganymede. Now let me tell you, Ganymede is the largest satellite in the whole of our solar system. There are more than 200 natural satellites in our solar system, out of which Ganymede is the largest one. And you can imagine it looks very, very tiny, because it is approximately 600 million kilometer away from us when it comes nearest, and that too only 5,158 kilometer diameter. You cannot imagine, the size. And onto that you have to search for atmosphere. How great! Milestone again, confirmed that Uranus possesses rings in 1977. These VBT also gave this. These are the names of Uranian system of rings. Milestone discovery once more, that is 4130 asteroid, which was a given name Ramanujan in the memory of Ramanujan. This particular asteroid is also been discovered by Vainu Bappu Observatory. So that was in 1988. He was editor of Indian Astrophysics Journal. That is also kind of a prestige, and he used to write so much. Padma Bhushan. Now, 1981, he was awarded Padma Bhushan by V.V. Giri, our Rashtrapati. He used to meet our Prime Minister, then Indira Gandhi ji. And I tell you, this is the last thing that I would like to, give, that when asked what his advice to young astronomer would be. Now, this is very important for all those who are right now listening to this, or those who is going to listen to this in the later time. I would give some unusual advice. These are the words of Vainu Bapuji, to read the biographies of eminent people. I myself have read the biography of great scientists ever since my boyhood. That is Kelvin, Rayleigh, Thomson, Maxwell, Raman. I was curious to know what circumstances determined their lives, what they thought about the world, what their own scientific work was. There is no doubt that these outstanding personalities created contemporary science. And what was their source of inspiration? Yes. So basically, what you do is something that is either not done by someone, or you take up that further to discover or invent something new to give back to world where you belong to. And a time comes when even the star take birth and star dies out, either as a black hole or a neutron star or a white dwarf. In the same manner, Vainu sad demise in Munich, Germany, again in the month of August itself in 1982, and he left this worldly abode and went to some other place where he must be needed more. This is a small kind of a tribute by me, Tanmay Vyas, to such a noble personality, and it is really privileged that we could remember him. And it is really a great thing that one can understand through such beautiful journey, starting from 20 years of age till the death. You can imagine, in 1982 he was not at his home, he was in Munich, where he was studying something more. He was trying to give some more to astronomy. And I tell you, these are all inspirational people onto which our next generation can learn so much about. Right? Thank you so much for listening to me. And over to you, Prerna ji.
Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, it was a pleasure to know such a visionary, what he has done and contributed in terms of astrophysics and astronomy is concerned. And also, I would always mention and again mention it, the way you presented the presentation makes the worth and also created that impact in the mind of the listener and the enthusiast to understand the work, the effort Mr. Venu Bapu had done in the respective field. Also, I would like to mention the comment, because what I'm saying, you can justify the comment in the chat box given by Mr. Suresh Parekh. What a great representation so far by Tanmay Bhai. So
Thank
these special words probably gives you the insight that what you are trying to say, what you're trying to highlight, people are understanding that. And definitely, whatever information today we have shared about Venu Bapu, that had insight, that had given us insight, and definitely we got so much new things to know about him. And people who are listening today and probably will come to the this channel and listen later will definitely acknowledge the hard work. As you rightly said, in media very few people got that recognition, and we only knows that 4 or 5 people who have done so much for the nation, but there are huge list which are unsung, and people like us know very little about them. So with this, we have 2 3 questions during the chat. We could take those before wrapping today's session. Ayan Gandhi, is bold red star a type of extreme helium star?
Okay, so these are the star where the star's structure is such where the process of converting hydrogen into helium is so fast that nearly there is a 0% of hydrogen inside and maximum of helium. And because helium cannot remain helium, as the core is not stopping the process of creating higher elements. And it is very important to know that there is a kind of a cycle called a CNO cycle, that is carbon nitrogen oxygen cycle, where the helium gets converted into carbon to nitrogen and oxygen. So definitely we can say that this is a helium rich cycle and helium rich star. And I know it is out of place, but Ayan is a 10-year-old kid whose birthday is also today. He is sharing
Oh,
his birthday with Bapu, and he is also upcoming astronomer. I tell you, he lives in Dubai, and he is very much into stellar evolution and all.
so we wish him all the best and great birthday. He also mentioned, glad to know so many discovery in his bucket. Thank you for all the information you have given today. So, also, Mr. Suresh Parik would like to know any book published on his biography of life you can suggest.
No, it is only you can if you wish to know something more about him, then there is a kind of a small PDF that is generated by Indian Institute of Astrophysics (IIA) Bangalore. So I can give you the link of that particular PDF in
I think
the.
it is free download available on
Yeah,
if
it
you
is
just
available.
type it on Google, you can get it on a free
So there is
download. It's
no
available
book,
on
but there are 3 4
no
pages on his.
a PDF file, and it's available on the web.
Yep.
All right. So with this, we'll wrap today's session. It was always pleasure to host you at the planetarium to know more detailed information on any of the topic whenever we ask you to do. It's always a learning experience to work with you in collaboration, and planetarium definitely seeks some more collaborative informative learning session in the coming future, as today's lectures completely justify in terms of knowledge sharing, because me myself and also people who are online present here learned and understand what all hard work and effort great visionary uh, Shri Vainu Bappu had given to this world. So
Thank
we
you. Thank you so much.
definitely going to remember him always. So with this, we'll wrap today's session, and thank you once again, everyone, for joining. And also like to give you a little reminder: at 3 o'clock today, we are also have one more interesting webinar. YouTube live, same on the Planetarium YouTube channel at 3, which is about the black hole observatory by Professor Jasdeep Singh Bagla. So anyone is interested can do join us. Thank you, everyone. Do take care. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.